Okay, starting back up again on the Facebreaker. This time we'll be running through Act 10 and the third labyrinth. Probably run the third labyrinth after we defeat Kitava. Done some basic inventory adjustments over the break between this and the last video, so I've sorted out some ring changes, so we should have a little bit more flat damage. And we are set up to be resist capped when we defeat Kitava. So this build shouldn't even need to stop. We can just go straight through the stack. And into maps. No need to stop. So we get started. So we go up on the roof. And first we're going to go save begin PC. And then we can get out into the zone and start doing the optional stuff. So that saves Bannon. Now we can move on to the rest of the act. Nice and quick. And you can probably see by now that I've sorted out a lot more flat damage, the build is doing a lot better than it was doing a few acts ago. Really, at this point, we just need to, well, we don't need to zoom through here, but we're going to zoom here because I've already got stuff set for maps, so there's no real reason here to smell the rainbow, well, smell the roses. Because all we need to do is get up like 68 and get out back 10. That's it. We're 64, so we're basically looking to get about 4 levels as we complete all the fetch quests in Act 10. And then this will be ready for maps. This resistance is probably not worth spending right this moment because I haven't equipped anything to do any Fizzpan. So they're actually resistant to it. I don't have a good, other than just attacking a bunch, I don't have a great response to that. But most enemies aren't Fizz resistant, so that shouldn't be a problem. Might be top. I might be going the wrong side. Yeah, it's top. I went down the wrong end of the cathedral. I don't know, I'm gonna run up to the other end of the cathedral. So in Act 10, there's a lot less optional stuff. So I'm gonna go do the one optional bosses first, just to get that one skill point, and then we're gonna run the sort of mandatory stuff next. After that. So into the control blocks. So basically we're going to go find one of the NPCs from Act 5. Specifically the one we actually gave the miasma detector to for the skill point. Apparently they weren't a particularly good person, and we're just waiting for an opportunity to take advantage of the good people. And now they've gone sort of mad with power. So we get another experience point, or get another passive skill for going down and dealing with them. So that's what we're gonna go do. One thing you might have noticed is I've swapped over to, I think it's an Anger Ore, so we can get a little bit more damage from that as well. As that levels up, that should help. Or is Pride Ore. Swapped over to Pride Ore, which should help with damage as that levels up. Nope. So I'm gonna burn down this whole way a bit. When we find a spot like that, we're gonna go up. There we go. Yeah, as you can see, this build is doing a lot better than it was when we were back in Act 4 and 5. Just got a comment on video 5 telling me what I could do to fix it. So shout out to that person. Thanks for the suggestion. The only problem with that suggestion is I may have done it in before I've got the suggestion. It's the one problem with having the YouTube videos run fairly far behind where we are live recording it. Normally this boss is not possessed by a ghost. I got an unlucky draw of the map where they got immediately possessed by a ghost, which is not necessarily making the fight any easier. In fact, it will just mean I'll get a little bit of worthless loot at the end, probably, instead of having an easier fight. That's showing you how strong this build is once I've fixed that damage, the flat damage problem, by getting the flat damage on the rings, is that we're actually level 64 doing a boss that's level 66. So the build has definitely improved. It's even taking enough that even though I would like more hit points, we've got enough between the armor and the resists and the endurance charges into play here that I'm not too worried that I've got less health than I would like. I would ideally like around 3,000 health at this point. But it's a lot tankier than 3,000 health would suggest. As you can notice, I'm not even really taking steps to dodge many of these attacks incoming. I'm just sort of accepting that they're going to hit me and just rolling with the incoming damage. There we go. That's that boss. It'll probably be quicker to teleport back to town. and walk through the zone. And pick up that skill point. So yeah, big multiplier on the thing, but the base damage of your characters for unarmed attacks is probably not enough to do what you want by itself. I'll pick one of these up and see what's good. There's the skill point we were looking for.
For freedom.
So again, if you go ahead and get all the stuff you need together, it works reasonably well. I just kind of YOLO'd a little bit too quickly through 4 and 5 and didn't re-gear like I needed to. But now the character's probably geared, or at least its level. So there's definitely better versions of everything I'm wearing as far as the rare gear that's giving me flat damage is concerned. If for no other reason than I'm running the first version of Essence mods on them that you can get rerolls of rare items on. There's actually two tiers better than that. So the build could be pretty reliably doing about, what, 9 more base damage per swing? Which, when you're multiplying it by 800, 900% is a lot. So we can see down in the predictor here. Oh, it's not saying now. It was doing the math earlier, where it was estimating we're doing something like 3,000 damage min a hit. Apparently I went down the wrong road and got caught on one of the dead ends, so I'll have to quickly move over to the next road. So I don't need to go into the ossuary, memory serves. Because I think that one's just respec points. We are enough level that we're getting maps dropping. So that is one way you can recover maps if you screw up and lose all your maps early in a league. Is you can always come back into the last couple of maps in the axe and farm up maps to get started again. So we shouldn't need to go into the ossuary. If memory serves, it's just respec points and the trial. We don't need the trial because it's not the best character on the server for me. So we have to go defeat the resurrected corpse of the guy who was possessed by Piety before. To get an item to release Piety from Bannon. Sadly killing Bannon, but releasing Piety from Bannon so that we can sort of do a tag team battle between him, who you're playing, and Sin to defeat Kitava. That's how you end Act 10. Move into the post game, which is maps and such. That extra life. So we've got 2 skill points to use. Probably want them to get health. I think I grabbed all the nearby health though, so... Oh, I suppose I could grab these health nodes in here. Not gonna go there. I'm actually gonna start pathing down to here. Which I suppose in the meantime isn't really giving me very much. It's mostly strength points. I've got 20 more strength points to get. And then we can get into here and grab this juicy node and work over to this juicy node for more damage. That's dead, but normal. Oh, it's dead end too. I can see where I want to go in the Fog of War, but getting there is going to be apparently more confusing than I had originally intended. Originally expected. Yes, extra projectiles of enemies that don't throw projectiles. A mod that is either incredibly weak, incredibly dangerous depending upon what monsters you roll. Yeah, not much to say about the build. We're just zooming through Act 10. It is definitely feeling better now that I've got that flat damage that I commented earlier in the video. This is another common place where people will farm for equipment, so if you're not resist camped for the post-Kitava fight, you often will farm here for the equipment to be resist camped. Nope, wanted to go the other way. Start doing those once I'm in maps, but right now I'm just trying to get past, get to and past Kitava. Otherwise the build is, as far as Act is concerned, is basically done. There's some minor stuff I'll probably end up doing in maps to get it to work really good in maps. But I think otherwise we're good to go. Build's basically done. It's just sort of that optimization, sort of post-game optimization that you can do to make it do endgame bosses and stuff like that. Going decently well. Every once in a while we run into a monster like this that's just tanking the rest. But generally, at this point, most of the tanky random spawn monsters are not necessarily a threat because of our level tankiness. And everything else is being cleared reasonably well without having to put too much effort into it. So I believe this time he doesn't have the phase shift in, well, he always doesn't have the phase shift into Piety because Piety's not in him. So I think it's just 3 phases with just him. If memory serves. Probably should have bashed Q there. Q probably would have saved me. Oops. So let's do it again. So this guy does hit hard, maybe not consistently hard. So he probably has a decent crit mod or something along that lines. So I can imagine that being a sudden burst of damage incoming. Because I've definitely been taking hits from him that are not hurting a lot, but then every once in a while they hit hard. So we're also block capped, so it might be one of those the incidental stuff frequently doesn't hit multiple times. Yeah, and obviously the ceiling lasers hit hard, so you don't want to be hit by those. Well, I say hit hard, they do consistent damage. These statues are a little in the way. See how I try to pull him away from the statue so he's easy to maneuver around. There we go. Okay, so with that, we should be able to go face Katava. Maybe not leveling as quite as fast as I'd like, but we'll be fine. The teleport in Ravage Square gets us nice and close. After I defeat Katava, I'll double check if I'm actually doing all the passive quests using / passive. Oh, it didn't work. I must have misspelled passive. Dyslexia sometimes is not the greatest of allies. Or the command of in maps. I always forget which. Build is still feeling very comfortable. There's a couple monsters in here that I find on other builds frequently hit very hard, but they're mostly just big fizz attackers, which I frequently run builds like SRS Popcorn, which is very ES dominated, and not mitigation, whereas this guy's got a decent amount of armor at this point, so it helps to mitigate the fizz damage. Yeah, not much to say. Basically, we're going through getting our cries off every once in a while and just deleting most of the enemies in our way. If for no other reason, then we do want a little bit of XP, because we would like to level once or twice before we hit Katava. multi-rare here. Yeah, so we just took one out, there's 2 more here. One's got life regen, which isn't super great. You can kind of see from the life regen effect, right, that these guys are starting to get pretty high up in the HP. Because most of the life regen effects on monsters are based off how much life they have total. So their percentile regens. So that means even when reducing their regen by half, they've still got quite a bit of life to get that level of regen. There we go. Okay, so now we're in the last act for Katava. We'll probably level at least once. We might not level twice. So we're probably going to be taking Katava, which I think Katava is 68. Probably taking Katava at 66. And yeah, I'm definitely squishier than I would want to be from a raw HP standpoint. So I wouldn't be surprised if, in just trying to casually go through it, I have a death or 2. I don't expect it to be a particularly challenging fight besides that. It'll just be, every once in a while I'll probably fail to dodge something properly, and that'll hit hard. I do not like this guy's aura. I suppose, now that I'm contemplating all the times I died, if I hadn't died at all, I probably would be 67 at this point. That gives you an idea of how much the XP gullies for dying adds up over time. Okay, so taking this guy down should get me that level. Oh no, it didn't. I would have expected a little bit more XP off of that guy. There we go. Isn't there usually a portal? Oh well. Might have missed the quick travel portal coming through. Let's say hi to them and they go up to prep for a fight. I'm gonna grab the last plus 10 strength we're gonna get before the fight. I'm gonna go in and do that fight.
I shall strike you down.
Let's not stand in the fire. Trying not to gloat too much about the fight being easy, because I know the fight gets harder as the fight goes on. The fight is going reasonably well at this point. Whoops. So as you can maybe tell from that, this build is tanky enough to take an oops and not immediately die. But as I've learned from the most recent lab run I did on my SRS build, a build being tanky enough to take one oops is not necessarily going to guarantee that you have a build tanky enough to do a fight. You still have to avoid getting hit with multiple oopses in a row. Because that's how I've been dying recently on my SRS build. Is the SRS build is probably tanky enough to take endgame lab hit from boss, but not enough to take it twice. And this is definitely a scenario where we're tanky enough that we could probably take a hit to the face from Katava, but we prefer not to because we can't take two. And the worst case scenario is you take one, or you take two in quick succession, basically, right? Is the worst case scenario. You want to avoid being in a situation where you're stuck. I think I probably picked the wrong corner to run into. Stuck and get hit twice in rapid succession, before we have time to recover from the first screw up. Okay, so that's the second phase of Katava complete. This is the final phase. Well, I suppose actually the final phase will be, I suppose it depends on where you break up the phases, right? So that was his second heart phase. There's one more heart phase. Between each of the heart phases, except for the first one, there's a spat where he grabs one of your godly helpers here, and he's basically fighting you one-handed for a while. So we should be coming up on about the point where he releases Piety and goes back to fighting us two-handed. There we go. Don't stand in the fire hurts. Okay, so now we have the last heart phase. You can see his hit point bar is basically empty, and we're now fighting the heart. one thing to be aware of, one Finding the Heart, is I believe he has infinite respawns during this phase, so you don't really want to die during this phase, because you will basically come into an arena full of monsters. And there we go. So we can see all the items that drop from his heart dying. We get the sort of cinematic where they actually blow it up properly, and that's the end of Act 10.
It's a...
The boots might be useful. We'll take a look at the boots. Nope. Alright, so I'm going to clear out the inventory quickly, and then we're going to do the third labyrinth. And then that will be the end of the video. Though that might take a while. And I will record and show you the first attempt at the labyrinth. If I fail the labyrinth, I'll probably end the recording and try to stitch it together with the attempt that succeeds. Okay, so the rest of this is going to get vented. Yeah, everything's being vented.
It is innocent. Remember, humanity needs it.
Banner. By the light of Ram.
So that's the 2 skill points from defeating Katava. So defeating Katava gives you 2 skill points. I forgot to check to see if I have that bow yet. No. Nothing in the unique stash. We do have it. I already have it. I should have kept somewhere. Okay.
Freedom comes to those who fight. For freedom.
Into the labyrinth. So we are going to be 66 and 68 area. Isn't really going to affect this XP, because if you follow the normal rule of plus or minus 3 plus the zone level divided by 16 is the range in which you get plus or minus XP. We're not going to be too negatively affected XP-wise. Well, we won't be negatively affected XP-wise. It'll just be harder than it needs to be otherwise. But we're going to go see if we can defeat Katava, or defeat Lab3 right after beating Katava. Defense-wise, we are still camped, yes. Nope, we got
quite so
the gold doors, so let's go find the gold key.
There's a golden key. There must be a
We know, Azaro. We found the door first. I ran into a rare that like stole my flask charges. Surprisingly depleted on the flask charges. I
Let
don't
the
know whether
day
right or left
dawn
is a better choice there, but we're
golden
taking right.
ability.
Still going well. No real struggles getting through here. Normally I'd probably be a little more running past these guys on a normal Labyrinth run. Because we're actually a little underleveled, I'm not all that worried about killing them because it's giving me more XP as we go. And it would be nice to level up a couple times.
The weary traveler draws close to the end of the path.
As we get taunted by Azara.
Is only as efficient as those he commands. What ambition! Only one of your lessons was completed, Ascendant.
I think it's the first time I've remembered hearing that second voice line. Only one of your lessons was complete. Wonder what he means by that. Oh, I can't teleport up there. It kind of looks like a teleport up there. No. Okay. The wonders of Flame Dash. Where would we be with that Flame Dash? Probably still back in Act 10, to be fair, because it helped me get through Act 10 faster. Nope, only one choice to go forward. Now, is this the one we want? It is the one we want. Into the experience trial.
When the time comes to strike, an emperor strikes without hesitation.
Blah, blah,
Entertain
blah.
doubt is to dance with death.
Entertaining doubt is dancing with
Emperor
death, yes,
beckons,
okay.
and the world attends. Claim your inheritance. Make your mark. You were born with this.
There's his second fight.
This
Nice casually dealing with his arrow.
remains filled with emperors in waiting.
We're just casually rolling through here. Nothing was really a significant problem to us continuing to move on. Zoomy, zoomy, zoom. That's the one we want. Well, either would have been fine. They're basically the same as far as I'm concerned. So this will work. There's 2 exits out of here. One we want, one we don't. Is this the one we want? Yes. So, going to Izaro, time number 3.
Can afford to be promising. An emperor must keep those promises.
So let's see if we can do this the first time.
Navigate your empire.
This is not the first lab, so we do actually have active traps. If you do a little bit more exploration in the lab, you can get, I think occasionally there's a room that'll turn the traps off. If you know where to go looking for it in your current lab seed. I'm not too worried about getting situations like that where I get teleported into the traps on this particular build, so I wouldn't worry about it. This level of tankiness. It's something that might actually be interesting trying to do on the 4th lab for my SRS build, because my SRS build, like in a situation like that where I lost half the hit points to a stray shot accidentally, would have been like 2/3 of the hit points on my SRS build. Which makes the traps really dangerous. Because if I get hit with that, teleported into the traps, it won't be very long in the traps that I'll be up.
I die for the empire.
There we go. Out with a Zoro. Lab 3, casually done. Casually done under level, too. I'm surprised that I'm still 66. And on the first attempt, so there will not even be a stitch. If I had failed that attempt, I would have run a stitch in there. Gems will treasure keys. You know what? I will sacrifice a gem. I started leveling a gem, finished the bit on blue slot, and then decided I didn't want it anymore. So we'll sacrifice the gem. We're gonna get pretty much nothing out of it. Did you even... 1 order rod. We'll take it. It's not much, but we'll take it. Then we get 2 more ascendancy points. I'm gonna take them. I've decided I don't want to be modified below base value, so we're gonna take the cannot be stunned and cannot be modified below base value. It might be, depending upon what you're doing, it might be better to come down here and get the, because this is a build where we're running endurance charge stacking. It might be better to get the plus 6% fizz resistance or fizz damage reduction and elemental damage reduction from coming down to unrelenting. But I'll save that for the 4th lab. Okay. If you're on YouTube, I hope you find this video good. I don't think anyone actively watching on Twitch, but if you're watching on the VOD, at this point all the earlier parts should still be up on, well, they'll all be up on YouTube, so you can go watch them on YouTube under willcole100. Some of the earlier parts will have started to come down by now on Twitch. So if you're on Twitch and you want to watch an earlier part, feel free to go back to it on YouTube, where the earlier parts will be. There will probably be a gap between this part and the next part, where I level this character up. I'm going to try leveling it up to around 80, and then I'll do sort of an after-action report over some B-roll of it doing maps at level 80, wherever that is. Or maybe I'll end up doing the 4th lab with it. I'm feeling comfortable at that point with the build. But the build is definitely doing better than it was in 4 and 5. Probably should have sorted out more flat damage before rolling through Act 4. Sort of YOLO approach with the armor and stuff was not the smartest idea. If you have any suggestions for other builds you want to see, feel free to put them as a suggestion in the comments. Obviously I'm not a professional player, so expect to see them done poorly. But if you want to see how a build is done poorly, and how I work through trying to make it work out, let me know. But yeah, so this will be the last part for a short while this gets leveled up in maps. And then I'll do an after-action report, where I go over where I think things went wrong and where things went right. So that if you want to know how to do this better than I'm doing it, simply by not repeating my errors, that's probably the video you want to watch. That'll be probably a couple days out from now. Though I don't know if it'll be a couple days out on YouTube. I might, depending on how much free time I have, maybe that will be on YouTube within a day or two after this video going up. Okay, well this is where this part ends. Catch you all later.